What's going on, guys? It's Mighty, and we're back with another vlog. Today, we're going to be talking about Interstellar. I just saw it this past weekend, and it is a movie that inspires opinions and thoughts, and so I thought it'd be fun to talk about it. This is a difficult movie to review because it's very artsy and hard to define what it's about and where the story goes. I've only seen it once. If I'm going to review something, or especially like a movie, I would prefer to see it multiple times so I can look at it from different angles. But I kind of just wanted to at least like talk about it and express my opinions and thoughts about it. And then if I have to assign an arbitrary number to the end, I'll do that. I'll start off by saying, because I'm going to be talking about the movie and what happens in it, this is going to be filled with spoilers. I'm going to get into all the story details and kind of the deeper meanings and all that kind of stuff that I perceive. So if you haven't seen the movie, click away now, but then come back and watch it after you've seen the movie, because I still want to hear your thoughts. And second, my hand is still broken, and it's still awkward, and it still hurts, and it still sucks. So forgive me, because I gesticulate a lot when I talk, so forgive me the awkward hand movements. Let's just get that out of the way. So Interstellar is a movie. The basic plot of the movie, I guess, is the Earth is ending because we're running out of food, and there's a bunch of dirt because of some blight or something that's moving across and stirring up all the dirt. And so Matthew McConaughey's character Cooper stumbles on this secret government thing that turns out that it's NASA, and instead of trying to figure out how to solve the Earth's problems, they're trying to figure out how to get us to other planets, to colonize a new planet that can sustain human life. So they'd sent a bunch of solo astronauts into space to look at a bunch of planets because there's this black hole that appeared out of nowhere, and they kind of thought someone put it there. Some alien race that's trying to save us and help us put this there. So they sent a bunch of astronauts through that to look at another galaxy, and there's 10 or 12 planets, and they get pinged back from 3 of them that, hey, there's life. But one of them has been a constant, come get me, come get me. One of them was yeah, it's good, and then it died, and then I don't remember what the other one, I think, was a constant, yeah, this is a good planet. So they're trying to send Matthew McConaughey's character, who used to be an astronaut, and some scientists into space through this black hole to these planets to figure out, yes, are we really able to save human life? Come back, figure out a way to get everybody into space. Or, if they can't figure out a way to get everybody into space, colonize a new population with a bunch of eggs and embryos and stuff that they have. So that's kind of the basic, dumbed-down version of where the plot goes. But honestly, the actual world-saving story of this movie doesn't matter that much. It's more about, on a surface level, the exploration of these places in space and this mental capacity that we don't understand, dealing with wormholes and black holes and dying stars, things that we have never actually seen. Now, in life, we have seen black holes and wormholes and stuff from afar, in space, but we've never explored them. We can look and scientifically say, this is what we think is going to happen if you were to go through a black hole. But there's no way to know that because no one's ever done it. And it also deals a lot with dimensions. Now, we're aware of our 3 dimensions, right? The X, Y, and Z axis makes this world 3D. But this movie deals with the 4th dimension being time. And it's really interesting because literally we can't comprehend that as human beings. And the movie talks about this in story. As human beings, we can't comprehend time as a physical thing because we experience it not that way. We experience the passage of time as the passage of time. There's no way for time to physically manifest itself. And so, how does a movie talk about something that its viewers can't comprehend? It's a really interesting idea. And I thought that the way that they kind of, when they get around to it at the end, where Cooper is in that thing with the bedroom, like I mean, it's not even like a world. It looks very like out of a computer system where he's going through these hallways or whatever, but it's all every moment of time in this one specific location. And it did a good job of explaining it to us for us to understand what was going on, but I thought it was a little bit of a cop-out because they say, well, Tars, the robot guy, says, well, it's not possible for you humans to understand this, so they made it a physical thing so that you could understand it. And I'm like, all right, I get that, because I'm watching this, I need to comprehend what the hell is happening. But on the other side, I'm like, it's a little bit of a workaround on the fact that we can't understand this. It's taking something we can't possibly understand and really dumbing it down to something that we can. I don't know what the other solution would have been. I don't know what I would have rather them do to keep it up here and still have me go, like, make my brain not explode. It felt a little bit disappointing, I guess, is the only way I can put it. That's what ended up happening. They ended up making it something easier to understand. Something I wish they could have explored a little bit more is this idea of love as this scientific, like, quantifiable thing. They go into it a little bit. Brand has a monologue about love. Because basically, on the three planets that they're trying to find, one of the guys that is on one of the planets, she was in love with. And it comes out when they're trying to vote on which planet to go to, because they don't have enough fuel to make it to all of them, because crazy movie shit happens. They're trying to figure out which planet they want to go to, and Cooper's like, well, you only want to go to this planet because you're in love with that guy. And she's like, well, kinda, but does that make it wrong? Like, I feel this gut feeling, this urge to go there. Doesn't that mean something? And I think it's a really cool idea because we don't understand love. Alright, well, this is a big tangent, but if you're familiar with the Harry Potter books and films, before the 7th book came out, there was a big rumor about, or theory about what they were going to be exploring. And in the 5th book, when they go to the Ministry of Magic to save Sirius, they reach this locked door and they can't get into it, so they move on. And so people are like, what's in that locked room? I want to know. And one of the big theories that they thought we were going to explore in the 7th book was that we were going to go through that door and it was going to be the love room. So, like, the Ministry of Magic was going to be, you know, doing science with love and trying to figure it out and what it means and how it affects us and all that kind of stuff. And that was a really cool idea. It didn't turn out to be what was in it, but it was a really interesting idea that really has made me think a lot since then about love. And I did a vlog about love shortly before I got married, just on my opinions about it, about how saying you're falling in love and you can't control it, and a lot of that stuff is a cop-out because loving someone is a choice. And I do believe that. But there is this mysticism to it, this thing that it makes us, these things that it makes us able to do that we can't understand. Like, you know, a mother and her son get in a car accident and he's trapped under a car. She's able to lift this car to save his life. If it was just a random person, she wouldn't be able to do it. But because it was her son, because she loved this person and she needs to protect him, she's able to do this. That defies our laws of what the human body can do. She's able to lift this 1,000-pound thing. So it's really, I don't know, it's true. Love enables us to do things that we weren't able to do otherwise. And they have this big argument about love between Cooper and Brand, and Cooper's like, well, yeah, love, it is important from a social perspective, because, you know, falling in love with someone to procreate and this feeling of unity in a family and a social group. She's like, yeah, but we love people that have died, that we're not gaining anything from. They're not loving us back. We're not feeling any physical connection with them. We're not getting anything from this relationship, but we still love them and this memory of them. How does that make sense? Our brains shouldn't work that way, and yet they do. So it was a really cool thing that they started to explore in that, and I wish that they would have gone farther, because they're talking about gravity, which is a quantifiable thing, but they're talking about it in a scope that we don't understand with these black holes and that gravity. And they're also talking about time as this fourth dimension, as a physical manifestation of time that this alien species can understand that we can't. And all of these unquantifiable things, and love is one of those. And I wish that they would have gone farther with that. And they kind of tie it in at the end with Cooper, with Murph, because he was destined to do this because she was destined to save the human race. And the reason that they were able to do this is because they had this love, this connection between one another that spans galaxies and spans time, spans all these years. And so, like, I get that initial monologue was meant to tie into this event that happened later, but I wish that they would have explored it more scientifically, the way they do gravity and time. The way that it turns out is a little bit like, all right, it's a movie, because it wasn't this mystical alien race that made this black hole and are trying to help the human race. It's just Cooper in the future connecting to his daughter. And that's a little bit like, okay. Like, that is what makes it a little bit more like it's a movie. It's always hard when you go and see a movie, the believability of all these crazy things happening to this person. Like, if you look at Saving Private Ryan, we're following this group of guys, and all this crazy shit happens to them. They're always in the right place at the right time, or the wrong time, I guess you could argue, when they die. But they're always right in the middle of the shit. And, like, there are thousands, millions of other soldiers in this war. Why are all the interesting things happening to these guys? The answer, I think, is the interesting things aren't happening to these guys because we're following them. We're following them because the interesting things happened to them. So in Interstellar, Cooper isn't the savior of the world because he's our main character. He's our main character because he's the one that was destined to save the world. I'm totally fine not understanding a lot of what's happening with the black hole and with the time travel-y kind of thing, and time being this physical dimension and gravity and all these physics and science that I don't know. I'm cool, like, not really understanding a lot of that because I'm not supposed to. But some of that breaks down towards the end when they're trying to tie up all the loose ends and give the movie a real, actual ending. I guess it starts with when Cooper is in the time thingy with Murph, trying to communicate to her all this stuff. He gets these, what do they call them, the quantum mechanics or quantum physics from TARS, who has them stored, of what happens when they go through this black hole. And he's trying to communicate that to Murph because that quantum mechanics will give them the mathematics to solve the equation to get the people from Earth into space to this other planet, this big centrifuge that they had built. So he communicates through, like, Morse code via the books and on the watch, and that's all fine, but we don't really see what those quantum mechanics are that makes it work. Like, presumably it's about gravity in some way, because it's a centrifuge, of how to use that to get into space and through space and time, because they're essentially time traveling at that point to get to that other place. But they don't, like, explain what it does that makes them able to solve this equation that Michael Caine has been trying to solve his entire life and unable to. Just this one equation or whatever the hell is what solves the problem. But, like, we don't know what that solution was. And so, like, we're just kind of going like, oh, okay, they solved it. I guess they can go into space now. And then when Cooper, like, wakes up on this space station that apparently is, like, orbiting Jupiter, I think it was, and more time has passed because he was in this black hole, and time passed a lot, like another, like, 50 years, because now Jessica Chastain, Murph, his daughter, is, like, 80 on her deathbed. He wakes up, and it's on a space station that, like, is some kind of, that centrifuge. Like, gravity pulls out. And so it's not like a planet where the gravity is always in, which is why when you're walking on a planet, you know, when it's shrunk down, you're walking on this circular planet, and everywhere you go on it, it still feels like you're on a flat plane. And when you look, it all looks like it's straight. Now, the centrifuge works in the opposite way, where they're on the inside, the gravity goes out. So when they were walking, they're going like this. And so when you're standing here, you can look and see all the rest of it. Because, like, as you look down and up, you're seeing the land go that way. And that's, like, mind-boggling, right? Because we've never seen anything like that. It also bears the reason, like, we're this far into the future, right? And so they've conceivably solve the problem of getting this space station into space because they're in space, they're orbiting Jupiter. How are they sustaining life on this thing for these, decades? Why are they orbiting Jupiter? Brand is still on that other planet, that third planet, to figure out if there's life, but that time matches up. That doesn't make any sense. This is going to get really analytical. When Cooper goes through that black hole, his time slows down a lot. Like when they were on that water planet, every hour that they were on that planet was 7 years in space, right? And on Earth, too, because in space and on Earth, the time was going the same way. Because of the way that gravity works, I guess, is what the explanation was. I'm not smart enough, I just have to take their word for it. So, when he goes through this black hole, it works the same way. When he's in that 3D time space in the bedroom with the books, I guess, it's supposed to be minutes there equals years. They don't specify it, and they don't really need to. But when he's in there, Earth, time is going on like it's supposed to be. And time is essentially stopped for him when he's in there. So time is going on. The minutes that he is in there equals 50-ish years on Earth. Because we see that when he comes back into space and just appears and he's out of nowhere, it's been like 50-ish years because Murph is older. So when he leaves Brand, right, they're going around that black hole because she's going to slingshot it, much like Han Solo, slingshot it around to make it to that other planet because they don't have enough fuel to make it there by themselves. So they don't go into that black hole, but I guess time slows down because they're close enough to it, but they don't specify how much or why or whatever. But then Cooper goes into the black hole, time stops, for lack of a better, manifestation. But she keeps going. So for a time, their slowed time is the same as Earth is going by normally. So their slowed time is the same. Cooper breaks off, so his time is still that same, still that slow, and she leaves the black hole. She doesn't go through it. She leaves its pull to get to this other planet. So time would speed up for her and eventually become the same as on Earth. Right? So, say as they're going around, that's like 15 years. So Earth has gone by 50 years, so she should have gone by 35 by the time we see them together. So when Cooper is on the Jupiter station and time is going normally for everybody, he leaves to go see Brand. We don't see them see each other because I assume it would take a couple of years for him to get there probably. But shouldn't she be 35 years older then? Because the planet that she's on is not so close to the black hole that time would be that slowed down, at least as slow as Cooper. So she should be somewhere in between Cooper's age and the time passage should be somewhere in between Cooper's, which is essentially 0, and Earth's, which is around 50. I know that's weird, but I feel like that's a huge thing. One of the other interesting things, because he has this huge connection with Murph, right? His daughter. He doesn't give a shit about his son at the end of the movie. Because, and I get it, because when he's in his cabin watching all the videos that they've been getting, eventually his son, Tom, don't remember, Casey Affleck's character, is like, "You're dead, Dad. I have to let you go. This is the last time I'm going to try to reach out." And so I get that. That relationship has ended. But when he, when he wakes up and lands on this space station, "Oh, Murph is still alive. I'm going to get to see her." He doesn't even ask about his son. Does he just assume that he's dead because he would be however many years older? He doesn't even ask about it. It's like he doesn't care at all about his son. It just seemed weird to me. So, as you can see, this kind of movie inspires lots of thoughts and feelings and emotions or whatever. So, all in all, I really enjoyed the movie. I would love to see it again from a more analytical perspective because I'm a nerd and I want to look at the cinematography specifically and what kind of shots they use and the underscoring and all that kind of stuff because I'm a dork and I like that kind of crap. But on a first impression basis where I wouldn't call myself an average moviegoer. That sounds so pretentious. But I understand filmography and acting and that kind of thing. and I'm pretty smart. So as a pretty smart person watching that movie, I really enjoyed it. I saw some flaws in the story at the end, but I mean, I would give it like a 9 out of 10. It's such an arbitrary number, like, to put, but that's what people want. Like, I'm sure when you see that this is Interstellar Review, you don't just want to hear opinions, you want to hear score, right? And I'm not, like, blaming people for that. Everyone kind of wants to see that mathematical, put a mathematical number on an opinion. It just seems weird to me. But here I am doing it. 9 out of 10, hooray. So let me know if those of you who have seen it, hopefully you've seen it if you've been watching this whole thing, otherwise just going, what? But let me know in the comments what you thought of it. Did you disagree with anything I said? Was I wrong about any of the science that I gave, especially about the brand time travel thing? Because I'd be really curious to hear, if I was wrong about that. But yeah, I really enjoyed the movie, and hopefully you guys did too. It was definitely, it lived up to the hype for me. Not so much like on a story and how it ended perspective, because that was a little bit like, it was a movie. But just on the scope of it and all the vistas that we saw and just exploring all of these things that are literally beyond human comprehension. That's really cool, and really cool that they would take that kind of a chance on that movie. So thanks everybody for watching. I guess we'll see you in the next video. Don't know when that's going to be. Definitely at least another one on Sunday, but maybe something before that. So thanks again, guys, for watching. Peace out. We going.